freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and these are the defining moments of 2024, things that really got you thinking. When you look back in 5 or 10 years, those things that will stick out the most. I'm going to bring my crew in, but before I do that, a golf clap, a hat tip to you, the fans, because once again, we have been advanced to the finals of the Sports Podcast Awards under the category, you guessed it, the best golf podcast. So do us a favor, help us do our best, Scottie Scheffler, and add some hardware to the mantle. Every single episode description, everything on Twitter, everything on Instagram is going to have the link for you to vote. It takes maybe 30 seconds. If you are not a very computer savvy person, it might take you 45 seconds. So it'll cost you nothing. It'll take you very little time. We would appreciate it in a big way. Please go ahead and do that. Everything you need, again, in the description. Let me bring in the crew for today. First, we've got Greg DuCharme here. Hello, Greg.
Gentlemen, congratulations to all of us. And thank you to all the fans who continue to support and listen and make us the front runner for this kind of award.
Did we win last year?
I don't think we won last year. I think we came in second last year.
Oh gosh, are we the Cameron Youngs of golf podcast?
It's too early to tell. I suppose if we continue to post runner-up finishes, we will then, become the lovable losers. But hopefully we can break through this year.
Yeah, it's endearing. The Sports Podcast Awards. I'm hoping after we win this highly prestigious award that we can have some say in changing the name from Sports Podcast Awards, right? You think about the Emmys, the Grammys, Golden Globes. Some of those might be the same. I'm not sure. The Tonys. We got to get something better than Sports Podcast Awards, I think. Once
the
we
first
get into
Cuddies.
Yeah, the Cuddies. Something. We'll figure it
The
out.
potties. I guess that probably doesn't work out very well. That was Patrick McDonald, by the way, that voice that you were hearing there saying that they need a new name. Always something you want to do to flatter the organization that's giving out the awards. Tell them that they need to change their name to something better. But we are focusing on 2024. But before we do that, there is news. And gentlemen, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I swear I have seen this headline 15 different times in the last 2 years. This one from Bloomberg. PIF is nearing a deal to acquire a minority stake in PGA Tour Enterprises. Nearing a deal. I've heard that a couple of times. Patrick, I'll throw it to you first. I believe the big standout item from this report was the size of said stake that the PIF would get in PGA Tour Enterprises. Just 6% for about $750 million. Not a 50-50, not a 30-70, not even a 25-75.
Well, look, I need these parties to just take their time. There's no reason to rush. We're only, 18 months into this whole ordeal. So what's a couple more years to go? Just, dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure everything's fine. Golf fans, they'll be around when you're done with everything, I'm sure. I guess, the 6% was the big news, the headliner, I guess, which and the valuation matches what SSG did. So it's $12 billion, and SSG put in 1.5 with another 1.5 potentially unlocked if they hit some milestones. I'm kind of just in wait and see with you, Rick, right? Tiger Woods literally said last week he has no idea what this deal is going to look like. And then this week we get, a deal's nearing. So maybe they've developed pathways to and fro, but wait and see approach for me as well.
Yeah, let me know when the DOG signs off on this, Greg. The other thing, I suppose that that's funny. When the other thing that I think that the percentage speaks to is that the future of these two entities is not going to be one massive global tour. It is likely to be LIV continues to exist, PGA Tour continues to exist, and some level of crossover between all players or maybe even just the top players. That's the way that I read 6%.
Well, this is the frustrating aspect of this news, because the stuff that we care about, the stuff that golf fans care about, the stuff that everybody is interested in is what this looks like. Nobody cares what the percentages are or what the dollar amount invested is. It's what nobody cares what the purse is at a golf tournament, right? We care about what happens inside the ropes. We care about who wins and who loses. We care about the structure of the competitive landscape. Is golf going to go on its same journey? Is it going to do some innovative things to improve or try to improve? What is it going to look like? And these headlines just don't give you that. And I think the reason in large part has to do with what you just said, Rick. It's probably not going to look a whole lot different, which I understand and have thought for a long time. If the public investment fund is going to invest a significant portion, right? If they're going to be a 25% shareholder in the PGA Tour Enterprises, or a 50% shareholder, or some major stakeholder in this, have the chair position, whatever you want to call all that lingo. Well, then perhaps the only way that makes sense is for LIV to go away, or the PGA Tour and LIV to become one. Because why would you invest so much into LIV and so much into the PGA Tour when they're competing against each other, right? Anytime one of your organizations wins, the other loses. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, I don't really understand the angle here from the public investment fund side. I know they want a seat at the table. It seems like if this is true, they have a seat, albeit a small seat. But it doesn't seem like it really changes a whole lot, which is frustrating news, because does it really take 18 months to decide that it's going to be 6%? What were they deciding between 4 and 8? What why is this taking so long at that point? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know. But again, to reiterate, the main point here is we don't care about the percentages or the dollar amounts. What we care about is, what is this going to look like? And are we going to see the best players in the world playing together again or not? Right now, it looks like we're not.
We'll put a pin in it. We'll wait and see. Juan Soto could invest $750 million. He's got that amount of money laying around. He could get himself 6% as well if PGA Tour Enterprises, if he were interested. I don't think he is. Tiger Woods could also invest $750 million. I think he's got that laying around. He's going to play the PNC Championship with Charlie. That is news. We don't even have to talk about it. I'm just contractually obligated to mention when Tiger Woods commits to a field. As expected, he will play with Charlie at the PNC. He'll probably hit very few shots, and Charlie will carry them. He will ride the cart. Everything will be on the Golf Channel, and we will talk about it then. What I really want to get into is we don't need to talk about it.
Well, I don't know, Rick. If he flashes a little form with the driver, I feel like he could be a factor at Augusta National in April.
Yeah, true. Definitely. I mean, look at the leg. I think I saw less limping or more limping or medium limping. I don't know. We'll wait to see how the limp looks. But we're going to get to those defining statements of 2024. We've got most of them in the outline. We're going to do that. But Josh, let's hit a break, and I'll see you on the other side.
CBS Sports HQ, giving you college football coverage unlike anyone else.
We're talking Big Ten.
Pre- and post-game coverage.
Are you encouraged with the way that this team responded?
Along with breaking news.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
Highlights and expert analysis.
That streak could be in jeopardy here.
Sure. What was your main takeaway from this game? How impressive was his domination?
That really changed the football game.
Let's go ahead and have some more fun.
Another wild ending.
The chaos continues.
Turn to CBS Sports HQ.
And we're back. Now, remember, December is a month that doesn't have a ton of live golf in North America, but that's not going to stop us. We've got the all-important trivia contest coming up on Thursday, and we have a mailbag episode coming out the week of Christmas. The emails that have come in for that are frankly jarring. Frankly, I'm concerned about some of you out there. I think we might have to have larger conversations
concerned about them, not us, right? They're not.
Oh,
asking for
I've
Greg's
always been
address or
concerned. I've always been concerned about you, Patrick, but no, I'm mostly concerned about the mental health of our listenership.
All right.
But if you want to add to my concerns, please feel free. The email you're looking for is firstcutpodcast@gmail.com. All your questions, all your concerns, all your comments, get them in. Josh will go through them, do his little magic, and we will answer as many as we can during that mailbag episode. But this episode, this is time for defining statements. Josh presented this to us, and we said, what do you mean, Josh? What does that even mean? And the way that we landed on this is that these are the statements that when you zoom out on 2024, the things that are going to be the most memorable, the things that are going to potentially be the most historical, the most impactful, the most interesting, whatever you want, these are the statements that define 2024. So Greg and I, as we do, put our stuff in the outline, make it so that the host can time things out and have an idea of what's coming up, and Josh can produce things and have graphics ready. No, Mr. McDonald. You said, I'm not putting mine in the outline. I'm just going to keep them close to the vest, and I'll let you know when we get on the show.
So I took this as the 5 biggest statements that happened in 2024, not looking back at it retroactively. I'm not the one stating in this case. I'm using the statements that happened in 2024. If you catch, if you're picking up what I'm throwing down. So I have 5 pretty important statements, pretty large statements that I think will actually intertwine nicely with what you guys put in the outline.
So you have quotes.
They're all statements.
Okay.
We'll go with that.
I still haven't
you did read the outline.
Greg, don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. It's the off season. Right. It was a pretty busy Tuesday. I was not prepared.
Well, as we ease into this, I trust Greg to get us off on the right foot here, Greg, before things go awry. So why don't you tell us what your first statement is, why that's a defining statement of 2024, and we can discuss it.
All right. This is low-hanging fruit. Okay. It's obvious, but this is ultimately what we will think of when we think back on 2024. And it's that golf now has an undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Okay. And it's really the beginning of a new era. And I know that Scottie Scheffler won 4 times and a Masters in 2022. I know that he won twice in 2023. But through all that, there was still this gaping hole in his game, which was what happens with the flat stick. And this year, we saw a change to a mallet putter right before the Arnold Palmer Invitational that led to 8 wins. Now, if you include the Hero and you include the Olympics, 9 wins. In the calendar year, which is extremely impressive. And it's something that we haven't seen in a very long time. And it puts Scottie in a place of dominance in our game. And it's so far ahead of everybody else. In the very near future, we're going to have the Player of the Year on the PGA Tour announced. And it's not going to be someone who won 2 major championships. It's going to be Scottie Scheffler, and it's not even going to be close. And that is the sign, since he did win a major, did win the Players for the first time ever back-to-back with a stiff neck. He did get arrested at a major championship and shoot 66 in the same day. And then he comes to the Hero World Challenge and says, hey, this is not a fluke, right? This is just what I do. And you're going to all have to keep up. And so a new bar has been set in 2024. That bar is Scottie Scheffler.
He's certainly not taking anything for granted. He's still continuing to try to make improvements. He's gone for the claw grip on the putting surface on some of those putts. And the mentality seems to be as sharp as ever in terms of removing result from process and just going about his business. But I'm going to offer a little bit of a rebuttal here. And Patrick, you can kind of break the tie a little bit. One of my defining statements is that the year of Scottie Scheffler was actually the year of Xander Schauffele. And I love that everything that Scottie did. He is by far the best player in the world, but history ages well for major championships. In 10 years, when we do this show, and we'll all still be here doing this show, and I say, name the winners from 2024, name the events that Scottie Scheffler won. I'm not sure how many we'll be able to rattle off, but we will never forget the 2 major championships that Xander won. 2 in a year is fairly unheard of. And those will always age beautifully. They will seemingly always be 4 major championships. It doesn't matter what goes on the PGA Tour with Live Golf or anything else. They have been completely outside that chaos. So I think as we get farther and farther away from 2024 and we look back, we're going to remember Xander's 2 majors more than Scottie's 8 or 9 or however many wins it actually was.
I will just say one thing. In 50 years, in 2074, when we're all still doing this show, we'll remember the 2024 Masters more than any other.
Wow. Okay. This is really tough. 10 and 50. I wonder what's going to happen in 30. That is the tiebreaker. But Rick, I don't know if you read my article today. It's not yet published, but I was giving out superlatives for 2024. I'm not talking about player of the year.
How would I have read it if it's not published?
Tournament of the year. Everyone's done that. I'm giving out like senior superlatives, like most likely to get a job he didn't apply for, Keegan Bradley.
Okay.
And so one of them was most likely to appreciate more in 10 years. And it was Xander Schauffele. For all the points you just outlined, not only did he win the most major championships this year, he was the most well-rounded player in 2024. Statistically, only player inside the top 25 of every strokes gained metric. He has the longest made cut streak since that 142 from Mr. Tiger Woods. History doesn't care about the PGA Tour no longer having cuts, but still counting cuts. It doesn't make sense, but history doesn't care. Right. And you look at his major championship resume, top 10s in all 4 with 2 wins. Only players to do that: Palmer, Player, Nicklaus, Watson, Woods, Spieth, Schauffele. So I'm going to side with you. I do think history in 10 years, Greg could be correct in 50. 30 is still TBD, but in 10 years.
I'm playing the long game here. Okay.
Yes, I will go with you, Rick.
Wow. Thank you very much. All right. Well, we'll continue to debate this until 2074 and longer. Patrick, I'm dying to hear one of these defining statements that you have. So why don't you just give us one?
Okay. You guys are going to have to bear with me. This is probably the longest of the bunch. Dated May 29th, 2024 for immediate release. And I'm going to kind of chop it up a little bit. Quote, "This was a chaotic situation for everyone involved. Ensuring the safety of everyone in the vicinity was my utmost priority. Mr. Scheffler and I both agree that there will be no ill will over this going forward. Instead of giving a negative public reaction, he chose to speak with dignity, humility, and respect. My family and I appreciate that." This is a long part, but we're going to get through it together. "It was unfortunate and disturbing to hear Steve Romines, Scottie Scheffler's lawyer, commentary today claiming that it was a, quote, false arrest and was made and for him to challenge my honesty and integrity. I'd be surprised and disappointed if Mr. Scheffler actually had any part in making those statements. To be clear, I was drugged by the car. I went to the ground and I received visible injuries to my knees and wrist. I'm going to recover from it and it will be okay. This is the extent of my commentary on the incident." We'll skip through little parts of it. P.S. Yes, the department has us buying freaking $80 pants. To those concerned, they were indeed ruined. But Scottie, it's all good. I never would have guessed I'd have the most famous pair of pants in the country for a few weeks because of this. Take care and be safe, Brian.
That is the officer who had the interaction with Scottie Scheffler in Louisville. And that is, I'll tell you what, it is a defining statement, Greg, because one of the things that we're going to remember, and we've already mentioned it, is that during a major championship, the number one player in the world was arrested before his tee time. And that statement, I remember when it came out, was, I hate that he tried to be cute at the end with the PS $80. Get out of here, cute boy. I don't need that from you. Well, but I remember this day.
Well, I will never forget this day. And it was, I'm not a big internet guy, but this is the best day of the internet in my entire lifetime. I could not believe some of the creative things that people put on Twitter, formerly Twitter, now called X. It was absolutely amazing. And one of the amazing things about it was, and this is to Scottie Scheffler as the king, right? Nobody at any point ever questioned that Scottie Scheffler did anything wrong, right? I mean, this happens in all kinds of sports. Players get in trouble, and sometimes you have the player's in the wrong. What is he doing? This kind of distraction is going to affect his team. Others, it shouldn't have been handled this way. He'll be fine. This is clearly a misunderstanding. This was so one-sided. It was immediately a comedy show, a joke, and he made his tee time. He played that day. I will never forget that day. I was sitting right here, shocked, at 6:15 in the morning. Shocked. Still kind of am.
It really was one-sided. It was, and that never turns out well for the people who like the 100% side. I don't know. Always seems to go wrong for those people. No, there was never a doubt that Scottie Scheffler, that there was not some huge misunderstanding, overblown abuse of power, whatever it is. There was no way that Scottie Scheffler could have done the things that he was accused of doing, and anybody would have gone to testify for him in that moment.
And I will also say, I really think that day changed Scottie Scheffler's brand. I know he doesn't care about it, but this was the 40-year-old dad, boring guy who happened to be good at golf, who turned into somewhat of a legend, like the
thug.
How do you bring in the younger audience? This is how you get arrested, right? And all of a sudden, he's like, his street cred went through the roof. So I think this was a huge part of Scottie's year.
There were T-shirts with his mugshot at Valhalla within an hour.
Yes.
Of that mugshot. I don't know how people could even do it that fast, but it was there. I could not believe it. It was
free Scottie.
Free Scottie. Free as you shoot to 66. All right, Greg, hit me with another statement.
Okay, so we have a little overlap here, Rick.
Okay.
This is to your statement, to your player at least, and this is Xander Schauffele. So to agree with you, I do believe this was a huge year for Xander Schauffele, because this is the year where potential meets reality. And so often we look at so many players on the PGA Tour at any given moment and say, they'll win a major, they'll win a major, they'll win a major. He's a multiple major winner kind of guy. And I think we really had that viewpoint of Xander Schauffele, and it didn't materialize. And it went from, well, Xander is a disappointment, right? You said this near the open of the show, a lovable loser. to all of a sudden a 2-time major champion. And all of the potential was realized in just 1 year, which I think is really impressive, incredible. And yeah, I wrote it as a headline. I made the statement. Patrick didn't. When potential becomes reality, a Schauffele story. And I thought that was really cool because more often than not, it goes the other way where players don't live up to their potential, especially after a couple years of success. Some guys hit it early and their success almost increases their potential. It wasn't really the case for Xander Schauffele, and he took his game to a totally new level.
That goes along with one of mine that I will remember in 2024, which is just the American dominance. So an American player was the number one player in the world for the entirety of 2024. An American won every single major championship, which doesn't happen frequently. An American won the gold medal. An American won, or the Americans won, the President's Cup. Nelly Korda did her best to do what Scottie did, but on the women's side of things. So American golf had one of the most historic years I would say probably ever had, because even winning all 4 major championships does not happen frequently. So it is true, especially in the modern era. So it is truly, in an Olympic year, going to be fairly unheard of in terms of the American dominance that we had in 2024.
So
Patrick?
Impressive.
Give me a quote.
My next statement comes from February 2024. Quote, I've certainly been through my fair share of putting woes over the years, and I finally feel like I've broken through and become a pretty consistent putter. For me, going to a mallet was a big change. I really persisted with the blade putter for a long time, but I just feel like your stroke has to be so perfect to start the ball on line, where the mallet just gives you a little bit more margin for error. So I'd love to see Scottie try a mallet, Rory McIlroy said. But selfishly for me, Scottie does everything else so well that he's given the rest of us a chance. Greg, you mentioned the stretch that Scottie Scheffler went on. First 5 tournaments of 2024, he was winless. His last 16, he won 9 of them with that mallet in hand. So the second defining statement of 2024 comes from Mr. Rory McIlroy at the Genesis Invitational to our very own CBS broadcast.
Greg, before you jump in on that, Rory not only has one of the best headlines here or defining statements, but also one of the best photos of the year. Him at the U.S. Open in the side the scorecard room with that green face vomit emoji is what it looked like on his face. So this is a good one. Rory sparks Scottie to go to the mallet, and then Scottie goes scorched earth.
And he does immediately after that, which I think is why that statement is so profound. And that statement will be remembered for quite some time, especially if Scottie does what I think he's going to do, which is continue this kind of play. Because like I said earlier, I don't think this is anything unusual for Scottie Scheffler. And the fact that just switching equipment was this big of a deal and seemed to be sparked by a comment from Rory McIlroy. I wonder if Rory would take those words back if he had a chance.
It's just,
I do. It'd be fascinating to hear his honest thoughts.
It's like me calling Xander Schauffele wet socks all year long, and then him just dumping 2 major championships on it.
The saying that sports is the best reality show is always true. If that was in a golf movie, if we were watching a golf movie, and elite international superstar goads American who has one flaw in his game to change one thing, this one magic trick, right? Change this one thing. The players are going to hate you. He changes it and goes on a historic run. Like I would think that is the corniest movie I have ever seen.
Yes, you would. And it sounds so corny when you say it that way, Rick.
Yeah.
Imagine bringing that to a producer. Picture this.
You'd be laughed out of the pitch room if you
Yeah,
brought that in. And here we are,
it
talking
really
about it as a
happened.
defining statement of 2024. Okay, we're going to continue this. We've got plenty more. We are going to pay the bills real quick, and we are going to see it on the other side.
Welcome to JJ's.
I'll have a... Wait, there's no way I can get a burger?
No chance, but you can have the NFL on CBS streams live on Paramount Plus. Oh, hang on. There's a toy.
And we're back with the defining moments of 2024. We've hit a lot of Scottie. We've hit a lot of Xander. We've got some great actual quotes that have also helped shape the year. Greg, I'm going to bounce it right back to you. Where are we headed next?
The next headline for me, and I think this is truly a defining moment of 2024. But the headline is, doing it before doesn't mean you're going to do it again. And the quest for Rory's fifth major really feels like it's a quest for his first major, because there's been a 10-year drought. And he gets into the U.S. Open at Pinehurst and is right there in the mix. And come Sunday, he's doing it. He's playing aggressive enough. He's making putts. He's got the lead. And even with the mallet putter, it's two short putts that crush his chances. And he storms off the property and he leaves and is very upset. And the rest of the season doesn't go great for him. And say what you will about the DP World Tour, he did turn it on a little bit at the end there, which was great. But the end of the season was not the same. And this one really stung for Rory McIlroy. And it's something that I'll remember in 50 years.
I can't decide, Patrick, whether we are closer than ever to Rory winning number 5 or farthest we've ever been from Rory winning number 5.
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer, especially with what we saw from Scottie Scheffler this year. Hopefully no run-in with the law in 2025. Those major championship venues, of course, set up great for him. There'll be a lot of headlines for Rory at Augusta, a ton at Quail Hollow as well. Can he handle that coming after that U.S. Open? And, during this run, these past, what do we want to call it, 3 years, when he's given himself really good chances at major championships on Sunday, the putter always is the culprit, people say. It's always the putter. And the U.S. Open highlighted that. But to me, what he's doing with his swing and trying to become more consistent with the iron play is something that I'm really interested in, because that stretch run at the U.S. Open, Rory McIlroy's ball striking also abandoned him, which you would not expect. He missed, I believe, 4 out of the last 5 greens in regulation. And so that U.S. Open, his wedge play down the stretch disappointed. At St. Andrews on Sunday, he hit the ball good, but he didn't really hit anything too close. He didn't give himself a ton of, really convertible birdie opportunities. So if you had to ask me, is he closer or further away? I guess I'd say closer, but Greg's headline, I don't write him for the editorial, but I think Greg has a job if he wants it. I think it's right on the money. The quest for number 5 feels like the quest for number 1.
I think he is closer. I mean, if you just look, I think back to 2018 in the Masters final group with Patrick Reed, he misses a putt at number 2 and goes sideways from there. You fast forward to 2021, he gets in the mix at the U.S. Open and falters on the back 9 on Sunday. Jon Rahm goes on to win. Rory had the lead, I believe, on the 10th hole. So he lasted a little bit longer in that one. And then you get to 2022 and that Open Championship, and he is there, should win, but he's just hanging on a ledge the entire time, just hanging on as long as he can, and eventually gets past. He never really made a move, to Patrick's point. And then at LACC, he lasts until the 14th hole, makes probably a really poor decision on number 14, which cost him the tournament. And he made it a little bit farther. And I think he showed more positive steps in that final round at Pinehurst that lead me to believe that he is getting closer. I think each one of these each one of these renditions of Rory in contention at a major is a little bit closer. I mean, and this one is probably 3 feet. That's how far away he is. 3 feet on number 16, and this whole tournament changes.
2025 is the year. I can feel it. He'll get it done in 2025.
Quill Hollow.
Actually, that while Greg was talking about that, what I was thinking, maybe AI could do this. I would love it if there was a way, just like I want to watch every shot that was televised from Rory McIlroy's major championship career, just like in a row, right? Thursday of the Masters, hole by hole, for just like, and it's like shot. I don't need like, yeah, exactly, and just run it through. And I don't know how many hours it would take, but like, I would love to see that play out in order. I don't know. I think I'd be sick in the head watching it, but
yeah. Film session.
Yeah, there's got to be a way. Okay, Patrick, quote us up, baby.
So I have one more quote statement, and then I have 2 other statements.
Okay.
Which do you want? Do you want the quote, or do you want?
I think you've crushed. I think you've crushed the quotes. Let's roll there.
Okay, it is the last quote, except for an honorable mention that I have. So, the final quote is, quote, "I didn't have one conversation with anyone about this until I was told I was the captain." Quote, Keegan Bradley.
Well, you said it before. Getting a job you didn't apply for is rare basically anywhere. And Keegan getting the Ryder Cup presidency, obviously after the snub, will continue to be a storyline into 2025 because who knows how Beth Page is going to go. The Americans are probably going to win it. They can usually hold court on home soil for the most part. So it is interesting, Greg, that like that'll be a big storyline of 2024. It'll also be a big storyline into 2025.
And depending on how it goes, 2026 as well. But I am fascinated by this, Patrick. I think it's a great poll because did something change in the way the U.S. goes about the Ryder Cup captaincy? Right? Was this an effort to step outside of the box and look at things from a different perspective? And I'm not exactly sure what that would be if they did that, but perhaps something changed, and maybe it could lead to some more success for the U.S. in the Ryder Cup.
Just a yes or no answer, Patrick. Is Keegan Bradley the Ryder Cup captain in a world where Netflix does not exist?
No.
Not a chance, right? The sympathy, the popularity that he got, the way that Zach Johnson looked like Michael Scott trying to run a team, just had this groundswell of, are you kidding me? This is what we passed up on for this guy. And then to get just smoked out of the gate in Rome and the money stuff, like it doesn't, the discord doesn't even get to Keegan if Netflix doesn't exist.
It does not. And it seems to me that what happened in Frisco was they had Tiger Woods lined up. Tiger said, "Hey, I can't do that." And their brain turned into SpongeBob's during a driving test. Everything's on fire. He doesn't know his lefts and rights all of a sudden, but they see on a TV screen in the background, Netflix season 2 full swing is on, and Keegan Bradley's sitting on that couch, and someone goes, "It's so crazy, it might just work." And so I think the one positive, I guess you can say, is it is a drastic change. Whether the U.S. needs that on home soil, that's debatable. But think about where Europe was ahead of Rome. Henrik Stenson was the captain, guys. And Luke Donald entered that situation late. He thrived in that situation. And they found just a 12 out of 10 captain in Luke Donald. And you know Keegan's going to bring the intensity. He's going to care about this. He's going to do everything what he believes is right. And whether it works or not is a huge, huge question.
I like Keegan, Greg. I want to get that out there. I do like Keegan. So I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be as prepared as possible. I think he's going to care. I think he's going to bring the fire that team lacked in Rome. I just don't think he's the captain if full swing doesn't exist.
Yeah, I think that's right. Well, and also he's like, he could make the team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't
would add a lot of layers to it.
It's one thing if it's Tiger Woods who might be a playing captain. It's another if it's Keegan Bradley. And I think Keegan, after this decision, continued to surprise some people with his play and his performance. How he got on the President's Cup team. He clearly surprised him. He was going to be a vice captain, and that now all of a sudden he's just a player. So I do think that was a little bit of a surprise. And the fact that Keegan Bradley could be a player captain is a fascinating thing that just goes to your point. Without Netflix, it's not Keegan yet. Nothing against him. Just he's too close to the playing side.
Yeah,
which is outside the box.
You're right. All right, Greg. Let's get another headline from you.
Okay. This goes back to the beginning of the year. I don't have an exact date. Patrick probably does. But a force for good or a sellout. Jon Rahm basically disappears from professional golf to grow the game in Spain. And this was overshadowed to some degree by Scottie's performance this year, Xander's performance this year, many of the other performances that we've had so far this year. But a huge chip that the PGA Tour had shifted over and went to live and went on, what was it, CNBC in a Letterman jacket, did his media tours. It was on Fox, Josh says. Yes, that was kind of a shocking moment. And I was very surprised. And what happened for the rest of the year, I think, was very disappointing for Jon Rahm. Right? Tied 45th at the Masters, where he was the defending champion. And then misses the cut at the PGA, has to withdraw because of cuts in between his toes or something at the US Open, and played well at the Open Championship. He did play very well there. The end of the year kind of seemed like he came back, but you got to go look at leaderboards to find Jon Rahm, because you just didn't see him on TV. Jon Rahm disappeared from golf after pretty much this picture that Josh has up right now, if you're watching on YouTube.
It is like a objectively sick jacket. Just like, it's awesome. It is hard to overstate, Patrick, how crazy it is. I mean, Jon Rahm might be the best player in the world. And at least that was very much in the conversation when he left.
Very
PGA
much.
Tour. At worst, he's like the third best player in the world. At worst. So a top 3 player in the world is very difficult to find. Went back on a lot of the things that he said. I don't know if he's been doing anything tangibly to, quote, grow the game in Spain. Maybe just playing on live is enough. It really, like, he has just left the golf conscience for a lot of people.
He did. And he's someone who, it seems like the past 2 years, interchangeable in some order, or maybe even 3 years. It's Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm. And Xander Schauffele entered that conversation, sort of like the 4 of them rotating. Whatever week, it could be different, except for Scottie Scheffler being number 1. And it just seemed like it all vanished, and it just turned into the 3 of them now. And Greg, honestly, my next statement lines up with yours, where many people forget this happened, but my next statement is Jon Rahm's hotel room statement in Maui the first week of January. Remember, this was just weeks after he had decided to get all that money from Live Golf and make the jump, but he doesn't change his vacation plans. Jon Rahm, the defending champion at the Century, is in Maui the same week. The PGA Tour is in town. He's running into players awkward pleasantries are exchanged. And so that was another one of my statements, which I think ties in well with Greg's force for good or sellout.
Did any of those statements actually get out, Patrick, of what he was saying in Maui, or was it just the fact that he was literally like basically still trying to be a part of the PGA Tour ecosystem?
I believe the quote on how the exchanges went was, quote, chilly. They were chilly.
I remember
exchanges.
That. Chilly.
Yes.
Chilly. Yeah, it's shocking. It really is shocking. The one of the top, like I truly believe, and this was reported at some point through the year, Greg, is I actually kind of give Jon Rahm the benefit of the doubt because I think he is one of the most fierce competitors in the world and all that stuff. I truly believe that he was convinced he was the linchpin, and that when he went, it was all going to come crumbling down. The PGA Tour would fall to their knees. This deal would get done. There'd be some level of merger. They cannot go on without you. I think he believed that. I believe that he believed that because that is like the only thing that makes sense in all of this.
He's one of the few guys, maybe the only guy. I just can't name another one, but he may be the only guy that has said he still wants to play in PGA Tour events. He's the guy that said he misses them.
Yes, I believe that.
It definitely feels like, now look, you don't know where all this stuff comes from, but from everything that I've read and from watching Jon Rahm in press conferences and watching his behavior on the golf course and things like that, it feels like he was sold a bit of false goods and misjudged the wind, if you will. And what's amazing is that he can really just disappear the way that he did. Because he really did. I mean, you have to be a live golf fan, which we know there are in the U.S. anyway, very few people who are watching live golf regularly. It just has not gained any traction. And Jon Rahm didn't make it gain any more traction, which is just fascinating. And so it all comes down to 4 events. He only played in 3. He missed the cut in 1 and finished tied 45th in another. And then it's Xander Schauffele winning the one that he kind of plays well in at the Open Championship. So it's just fascinating how one side has to try to grow things. So they need someone like Jon Rahm, you would think, to grow their tour. The other side loses, and it's really just like, well, okay, the side that gets him didn't really grow. At least doesn't seem like it. And the side that lost him just gets hurt. It's like, this is bad for everybody except Jon Rahm, who's made hundreds of millions of dollars.
Everybody loses. Perfect.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. All right, gents, let's do one more each. Do we each have one more? I think we should, right?
Yep.
Okay, Greg, let's get your final defining statement of 2024.
This is very simple, much less dramatic than the one I just shared. Golf belongs in the Olympics. It is the most perfect sport for the Olympics. I cannot believe that it went 100 years without being in the Olympics. I don't understand it. It's perfect. You have representation from all these countries. You have great golf courses you can display in your home country, wherever you are. It's great for tourist attraction. You have talented players all over the place. It just belongs.
It is shocking that as a very global game for the last 100 years, 125 years, that's when it was first in the Olympics. Like, how was it not in the Olympics?
Yeah,
it's speed walking like this whole time. Like shit like that.
Like, there's an official world golf rankings. There are a ton of events that are there's like 30 different national opens. Like, golf is such a lot of it is very country driven.
Yes. I mean, they put flags up on the leaderboard almost every week, right? It's like always the Olympics in golf. American Scottie Scheffler and South African Tristan Lawrence right there chasing his. We don't do that in other sports.
Yeah. It's true.
So I'm very glad that it's back. I'm glad it was in France this past year, which I think the time zone is a big factor. And so people got to watch it. And Scottie Scheffler is winning that tournament, that making a historic run. That really helps grow it. Now we go to LA next. People will be able to watch it prime time. I mean, it couldn't get any better. So I'm just surprised it hasn't been here all along, but I'm glad it is now.
And Greg, to pile on to the street cred of Scottie Scheffler, there's a lot of non-golf fans watching the Olympics, right? Just people rooting for their countrymen. And when Scheffler goes on that tear, he's crying on the podium. That just adds to his lore as well.
The only thing, give out 2 medals, an individual medal and a team medal. That's my only thing. So add up all the scores to par, or however you want to do it. Take top 2. I don't know. We got to figure that part out. But let's have an individual. Let's have a team. It'll be great. So LA, that's Riviera in 2028. I don't know where 2032 is. Have they decided?
Probably like Qatar.
Brazil?
Hold on.
Brazil?
It was just Brazil. It was just in Rio.
Oh,
Brisbane.
Yeah,
Australia. Brisbane.
Oh, we're going down under, boys.
We're going to the Sand Belt.
Terrible time zone, but it'll be cool.
I don't know if they've announced what course it'll be, but it's going to be Brisbane, which will be cool. Okay. Patrick, finish us off, sir.
My final one to make the list is Jason Day's fashion statement in 2024 as the self-proclaimed traffic cop at the intersection of pro golf and fashion. One, I think my job's way more important than it obviously is, so that lines up. And 2, I found myself, being pro Jason Day some weeks and anti Jason Day other weeks, and I think it really came to a boiling point there Friday morning. Masters, he draws the tee time alongside Tiger Woods. All the cameras are on them. They come back to finish their first rounds, and Jason Day has a sweater vest that is so offensive that Augusta National asked him to take it off. They asked him to take it off, and this does have a good ending because I just read an article while doing research for this podcast. Don't ever say I'm not prepared. It was just auctioned off for charity. So happy.
How much did it end up going for?
At least $4 billion, I believe. I think the PIF bought it. And so some good in there. Look at round 2 of the Wells Fargo Championship for those interested. Some not so good, but overall, I think Jason Day's fashion statement is one of the defining statements of 2024.
I have how much it actually went for, because I saw that this was going up and I was like, okay, what are the chances I can get this for like $3,000? No, I could not get it for $3,000. It did end up going for $18,000.
Dang.
You could have had that, Rick.
Anonymous or
yeah, I mean, listen, my wife would have killed me, but could have moved some money around, sold some assets, maybe figure something out to get
just
this.
Place one of Patrick's parlays.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rick,
this
would you rather have
sweater,
the sweater vest, or that $5 million banana?
Did you see the guy ate that banana?
I would love to be that rich one day. A couple more parlays, Greg. We're going to be there.
We're on the way.
That cannot be good for you. That banana's like 8 years old.
I think it was actually replaced.
Oh, then it's all scam.
Well, art is really just fugazi, right?
I would rather have this sweater than that banana.
Is that a pajama shirt? The other one.
Oh, that's a great one. That's a great look. The practice round at the Memorial as well, a highlight for Jason Day this year. Just some real quality stuff out of him. Remember the parachute pants on Thursday is what was making all the headlines at Augusta National before. I mean, he stole
quite a bit of material.
Imagine if he wore a green jacket over that sweater vest.
The early start to the year, I don't know if it was slow, but there was a lot of Jason Day fashion content. And I remember when he just said, he was asked about it for like the 1000th time. He's like, yeah, man, like I like some of the stuff. I like the stuff. Like he quickly caught himself.
It's
Like,
people
he's not-
talking. It's provocative.
It is provocative.
People talk.
$18,000. They went to the Brighter Days Foundation, according to
Brighter Day. Is
golf.
that his own foundation? Did he just buy
Yes.
his own sweater vest?
No,
He's using
the funds, not the sweater. The sweater vest didn't go to that. The funds went to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think they hung it on the wall?
With a piece of duct tape?
Man, I mean, I know Jason Day didn't win this year. I don't like. He's like, I really need this money. Boom from here.
Yes, the Brighter Days Foundation is started by Jason Day and his wife Ellie. They partner with local nonprofit organizations that work to meet basic needs, give hope, deliver high quality programs, et cetera, around Columbus, Ohio.
Okay, very cool.
Good job, gents. I also have some of the early bids for the 2036 Summer Olympics. Would you like to hear some of the cities that are in the mix?
Yes.
I'm gonna guess.
You're not going to guess them.
Okay, you can go then. Cape Town.
Okay. I haven't read them all. These are the confirmed bids that are already in, and then I'll get to the ones that are considering. Confirmed bids. Nusantara, Indonesia.
Out.
I've
Out
never
on
heard.
that.
Not good
I've
for
never heard of it.
not good for golf in the Olympics.
Yeah,
Istanbul, Turkey.
Interesting.
I've heard mixed reviews.
Delhi, India.
I've
Imagine getting into the Indian golf market.
I got like full cavity search there way back. Can't be going there. It was
You,
it was
you probably
traumatizing.
you probably deserved it. Santiago, Chile.
Great.
Okay. Those are the confirmed bids. Here are the potential bids. Egypt, South Africa. That might be you, Patrick. That might be Cape Town. They have not submitted a city yet, but South Africa, South Korea, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, Italy, Denmark, Canada, China, Spain, Ukraine. Can't imagine that's happening. UK, Poland, Germany, Spain, Mexico are all potential bids.
So everywhere else.
Yeah,
Basically,
Could be
everywhere else,
anywhere.
Yeah.
it's going to the Middle East
Yeah, because there is going to be a lot of grifting.
by then.
The
line-
IOC, the corrupt
Yeah,
IOC.
the line will be done too. So
It's horrible. I'm going
Is
off the grid. I
Istanbul,
can't deal with
would
this.
that count as Middle East?
I'll allow it.
I think
Unless-
Turkey's kind of like, you know how half of Russia's in Europe and half's in Asia? I feel like
Oh, I
Turkey's
didn't
like
know
that
that.
with the Middle East.
Is
Yeah.
that true?
Yes.
Rick, how many time zones do you
Um,
think are in Russia?
Oh,
Or is it
Half of them.
I think it's like 11 or 12. Yeah. I think Turkey's technically Middle East. Yeah.
Southeast Europe is where Turkey is, but I believe it is considered.
I'm on Reddit right now, and it says Turkey is caps not in the Middle East. Here's why. So
Okay.
I'm not gonna click on that link on my work computer, unfortunately.
All right.
I think we
Feels
lost
like we
Rick.
lost Rick. Yeah.
That was his defining moment of 2024, debating whether or not Turkey is in the Middle East. You'll have to tune in on Thursday. Trivia, right? Is Thursday trivia, Greg?
Yeah.
I'm
Bring
not
it on.
prepared. Or maybe I'm already playing mental games with you. Who knows?
Ooh.
But you're
My
gonna have
hands
to
are sweating.
tune in on Thursday to figure out if Turkey is indeed in the Middle East, and of course to see Mark, Greg, and myself go head to head in the highly decorated annual First Cut Trivia Challenge. Rick will be host. He'll be game master. But until then, this was the First Cut. That is Greg DuCharme. You can find him at The Real GFD. I am Patrick McDonald. You can find me at P McDonald CBS, and we will catch you guys next time.